My sister accused me of sabotaging her unique experience. But I couldn't express how angry she really was. I'm currently stuck in an unfeasible circumstance. My family is vast and close-knit, and we have lived in the same tiny town for many generations, along with Renee, 28F. Although not overly religious, we do have certain customs that are highly valued by all. Our yearly summer cookout at my parents' house is one of them. Everyone shows there, from second cousins to great aunts, and we spend the entire day catching up. It's a big thing. Playing video games and overindulging in food. Just to refresh your memory, our family get-togethers weren't always as peaceful. These were often stressful situations when I was growing up. My mom's side and my dad's side of the family had a long-running conflict over some old property dispute that occurred before I was even born. At one time, things got so terrible that we had separate family get-togethers for each side. Things didn't start to alter until my sister Samantha, 32F, and I were in our teens. We persuaded our parents to throw a joint cookout since we were sick of the drama, although it was uncomfortable at first. It eventually came to represent our family's reconciliation. Because they symbolized the peace we worked so hard to create, these get-togethers now hold great significance for all of us. In our family, Samantha has always been the mediator. She was the one who, even as children, could diffuse tense situations and make everyone laugh again. Although at times I felt overtaken by her innate diplomatic skills, I have always appreciated that quality in her. Samantha exudes grace and tact, whereas I am more straightforward and, let's face it, maybe a little too direct. The start of all the turmoil was last weekend's cookout this year. During the past few years, Samantha and her 34-year-old husband Billy have been attempting to become parents. Their infertility issues have been quite openly discussed, and the entire family has shown support. Samantha initially informed me they were trying, and I recall that moment. We were enjoying one of our sister nights, a monthly get-together where we would sip wine that we started in college, and discuss both nothing and everything. She was so excited that she was already thinking about baby names and decorating the nursery. Though I was happy for her, I couldn't help but feel a hint of jealousy. It had always been Samantha's intention to go to college, get a job, get married, and have children. I was still figuring things out in the interim, bouncing between jobs and relationships. I saw Samantha's delight transform into worry, then grief, as the months stretched into years without a baby. She found it more difficult to attend family get-togethers, particularly after our cousins had their own children. I made an effort to be encouraging, although I frequently thought I was saying the incorrect things. I once proposed that they think about adopting Samantha, and she stopped talking to me. For a week. I discovered how to simply listen and give hugs when required. Through it all, Billy has been her pillar of support. The quintessential high school sweethearts, they have been together since high school. During my teenage years, I vividly recall feeling envious of their love, while juggling my own troubled high school romances. But as time has gone on, I've learned to value Billy as the brother I never had. He has consistently supported Samantha and our entire family. I was really happy when Samantha and Billy showed up for the BBQ, looking happier than I had seen them in months. They said nothing about why they were nearly glowing. I assumed that they were simply feeling cheerful and didn't give it any thought. All I wanted was to see my sister happy once more. Everything was going well that day. The meal was excellent, the weather was ideal, and Dad had finally nailed the formula for a special barbecue sauce. And there was harmony among all. It felt like the good old days, before Samantha and Billy had been through so much because of the stress of trying for a child. I was talking to my 30-year-old cousin Liz later in the day about her recent vacation to Japan. Since we are only 2 years apart, Liz and I have always been close and have spent most of our summers together as kids. We stumbled onto a photo of a cat cafe as she was scrolling through her phone. When I stated that I'd always wanted to go there, Liz joked that perhaps you ought to open one here. The crazy cat woman thing is already present in you. Our family had a running joke about it. Over the last few years, I had adopted 3 cats, much to my mother's dismay. She was continuously implying that instead of getting more pets, perhaps it was time for me to settle down and raise a family. Although I usually ignored these remarks, they did hurt a little. I still laughed at Liz's joke, though. Hey, at least I'm not hiding any kittens under my shirt like Samantha is, I said, laughing. I knew something wasn't right as soon as I said the words. There was an unsettling silence in the room surrounding us. When I looked up, Samantha was staring at me with a blank expression on her face. With his arm wrapped around her shoulders, Billy appeared to be trying to blend in with her. My mother broke the quiet. Is there anything you would like to share with us, Samantha, my dear? Samantha cried uncontrollably and bolted from the backyard. Billy gave me a glare that would have melted steel before following her. The family as a whole broke out in turmoil. A few were enthused, some perplexed, and still others furious. Primarily directed at me. As it happens, Samantha and Billy had recently been aware of their twin pregnancy. At the conclusion of the BBQ, they intended to make the announcement with a cute reveal that they had arranged. They'd been planning this surprise for weeks, and everything had been spoiled by my casual comment. I was miserable. I attempted to clarify that I was merely making a ridiculous joke about Samantha's cheerful appearance, and had no idea she was truly pregnant. However, the harm had already been done. It was uncomfortable and awkward throughout the remainder of the BBQ after Samantha and Billy left early. We seemed to have regressed to the days of heated get-togethers and family disputes. I've been receiving irate calls and messages from family members ever since. They claim that I'm inconsiderate and insensitive, that I should have known better, and that I destroyed Samantha and Billy's wonderful moment. I can't get Samantha to return my calls or texts, and my folks are upset with me. Sincerely, I didn't intend to give anything away. The fact that my joke turned out to be true was merely a coincidence. However, I'm now unsure if I actually made a mistake. Should I have used my words with more caution? Is it my fault that I unintentionally revealed my sister's pregnancy? Old fears are surfacing as a result of the whole situation, in comparison to Samantha's flawlessness. I've always felt like the family screw up, and now it seems like I've shown everyone wrong. I'm happy that my sister, who has been trying for a long time, is finally pregnant since I love her. All I want is to go back in time to that cookout and refrain from speaking. Update 1: Since the cookout incident approximately a week ago, things have only gotten more problematic. Samantha and I have been attempting to communicate, but she has not returned my calls or texts. Yesterday was the first time Billy took my call, although the exchange wasn't pleasant. He informed me that Samantha is inconsolable. I was unaware that they had suffered 3 miscarriages in the previous 2 years. They intended to use the barbecue announcement as a means of celebrating their pregnancy after all of their hardships, but they were keeping it a secret until they felt more safe. Billy claimed that my thoughtless joke had robbed them of the opportunity to steer the story and savor the moment as they saw fit. When I learned about the miscarriages, I was horrified. I've always been close to Samantha. We talk about everything, from boy problems to work stress. It really hurt that she saved this for me. I couldn't help but wonder what other details of my sister's life I might be missing. Billy was not buying it when I tried to apologize once again and clarify that I was unaware of their past or the pregnancy. He remarked that this was just another instance of me not taking other people's feelings into consideration and accused me of constantly seeking to be the center of attention. That hurt because it is completely untrue. I've made an effort to stand with Samantha and Billy always. His remarks reminded us of our early years. At one point, Samantha was 16 and I was around 12. The family was having dinner together to celebrate her recent victory in a major school debating competition. I recall being angry that no one was noticing me and feeling excluded. I then made the bogus announcement that I had been chosen to play the lead in the school play. When the deception surfaced, everyone was disappointed, but the focus switched to me. Although Samantha was understanding, it was clear that I had wounded her feelings by trying to take her moment. I had assumed that my need for attention had grown out of me, but Billy's charge made me consider whether or not my perception of myself had changed. Billy told me to give them space and not to get in touch with them again until they reached out to him, as our chat came to an end. I'm really uncomfortable with the whole thing. However, I'm also beginning to become a little impatient. How was I meant to find out about something they were purposefully keeping under wraps? The growing gap inside the family is exacerbating the situation. Samantha has the support of the majority of our aunts and cousins, but my brother Matt, 26M, and a few others believe the whole situation is being exaggerated. All of the side-taking and whispering that's going on is making every family gathering extremely tense. In family dramas, Matt has always been on my side. The youngest is him. And we connected over the notion that Samantha's accomplishments overshadowed us. He gave me a call the other day to see how I was doing, and we spoke for hours about the circumstances. Though he believes Samantha and Billy are exaggerating, he can appreciate their frustration. Knowing that at least one member of the family doesn't believe I'm a total monster was consoling. In the hopes that they could arbitrate the matter, I made the decision to discuss it with my parents. That was a colossal failure. Mom started crying and said she felt stuck in the middle, not knowing how to help her daughters get along. Dad merely expressed disappointment, saying he had hoped much more from me. My parents' extreme distress reminded me of our previous family arguments. I recall how anxious and depressed they were throughout those years, constantly attempting to maintain harmony between the two families. I had made a self-promise that I would never be the source of such conflict in the family, but here I was, at the epicenter of another family drama. I'm beginning to feel very alone. I feel like the only one who gets me is my best buddy Tara, 29F. Since college we have been friends, and she has witnessed many of my family's stressful moments. She advised me to send Samantha a letter outlining my situation because she refuses to answer my calls. Though I'm thinking about it, I'm concerned that it might make matters worse. Tara also made a point that I had not thought of. She brought up memories of how competitive Samantha and I used to be. Whether it was in sports, school, or attempting to earn our parents' attention. We were constantly trying to outdo each other. Tara pondered whether this circumstance might be influenced by some ancient rivalry, making it more difficult for Samantha to overlook what was a truly harmless error. I've been considering Tara's words a lot. It's true that my relationship with Samantha has never been easy. Even though we are incredibly in love, there has always been a hint of rivalry. I had assumed that as adults, we had gone past that, but it's possible that those outdated dynamics are still having an impact on us. All of this was not what I intended to happen. I'm happy that my sister, who has been trying for a long time, is finally pregnant since I love her. All I want is to go back in time to that cookout and refrain from speaking. Am I incorrect in thinking that this response seems a little excessive? Should I continue apologizing or, as Billy said, just give them all some space? Our family is being torn apart by this whole thing, and I have no idea how to stop it. Update 2, I'm not sure how to feel about the unexpected turn that things have taken. I received a call from my cousin Liz around 3 days ago. She sounded quite frightened and was speaking softly. She informed me that she had an important message to share. I was, however, required to swear not to inform anyone else in the family. I nodded, mainly because I wanted to know what might have agitated Liz so much. I was stunned by what she told me. It seems that Liz had run into Samantha in the pharmacy the evening before the cookout. Samantha was clearly worried when she purchased a pregnancy test. In an attempt to be helpful, Liz volunteered to stay with her while she completed the test. After Samantha gave her okay, they returned to Liz's flat. When the test result was positive, Samantha started crying. She told Liz that she and Billy had given up on having a child months prior. They had even begun to consider adoption. Samantha was taken aback by the positive test results because she claimed that the stress of Billy's infertility had prevented her and her from having a sexual relationship for weeks. Liz expressed her uncertainty about how to handle this information, particularly in light of the events at the cookout. She felt bad about keeping it a secret, but she also thought she had no business speaking out about it. She only told me because she felt that, considering the amount of heat I was receiving from the family, I should be entitled to the whole story. I was taken aback. If Liz was correct, then my remark about the barbecue had not only prevented a planned announcement from falling through, but it had also compelled Samantha to make a revelation for which she may not have been prepared. My mind began to comprehend this information, and our early years began to resurface. When Samantha and I were teenagers, she confessed in me about meeting a boy our parents didn't approve of by slipping away. Even when our parents grounded me, I had kept her secret because I believed I was protecting her. After a while, Samantha had opened up. However, it had taken her several days to summon the bravery. This seemed remarkably familiar. Once more, I had a secret that would help me cleanse my name, but it would cost Samantha dearly. This understanding was like a ton of bricks on my shoulders. With this information, I was at a loss for what to do. Although I knew it would just lead to more turmoil and further upset Samantha, there was a part of me that wanted to inform everyone and clear my reputation. I couldn't help but wonder how this would affect Samantha and Billy's relationship. I thought about what Liz had told me all day the following day. I remembered all the time Samantha had supported me, including the time I dropped out of my first choice of degree in college because I was too embarrassed to tell our parents. After spending hours with me, Samantha helped me come up with a fresh strategy and was there for me when I eventually told my parents. Samantha seemed like she might need my help with that now. I knew I had to support my sister even if I was feeling wounded and frustrated. I thought about it for a day before deciding to get in touch with Samantha again. I texted her to let her know that I was available to listen to her without passing judgment, and that I felt there was more to the story than what everyone had been told. She surprised me by responding nearly right away and wanting to visit. This is being written right before Samantha's arrival. I'm anxious about what she could say and how this exchange might affect the situation. I'm not sure if I should just listen to anything she wants to tell me, or if I should let her know that I know about her talk with Liz. The whole thing has escalated beyond a straightforward miscommunication during a family get-together. I'm still feeling bad about my part in this, scared for my sister, and unsure of what to do. I would appreciate any guidance on how to approach this talk with Samantha. Third update, to put it mildly, the talk with Samantha was intense. She arrived at my house looking worn out and close to tears. She broke down the moment I shut the door behind her. Samantha corroborated all Liz had told me through weeping. It's true that she and Billy had given up on having a child, so she was surprised to learn she was expecting. However, the tale was not over yet. Samantha acknowledged that she had an affair with a coworker for a short while about 2 months ago. It was an isolated incident that followed a very trying doctor's consultation during which they were informed that they had very little possibility of becoming pregnant. She erred because she was so distraught. She quickly regretted it and broke off all communication with the coworker outside of work. I couldn't help but think of a comparable circumstance from our past when she was telling me this. During a difficult phase in their relationship, Samantha cheated on her then boyfriend while she was a college student. I had assisted her in getting past her feelings of guilt and tears when she had come to me. It was one of the rare occasions in our lives when I felt like I was the one offering counsel and encouragement, as opposed to the reverse. She freaked out when she found out she was expecting. She was too afraid to inform Billy about her affair, even though she knew there was a possibility the baby wasn't Billy's. Choosing to ignore Billy's delight, she pretended to be unaware of the pregnancy. She had been pushed to disclose a pregnancy she wasn't even sure how to feel about yet by my remark at the barbecue. She acknowledged that fear and guilt were the main causes of her resentment towards me. Despite my disbelief, I tried to listen without passing judgment. Samantha expressed her fear of losing Billy should he discover the truth, but she also expressed her fear of unintentionally parenting a child who may not be his. We discussed the possible outcomes of each decision and weighed her options for hours. I told her about the time I had helped her in college with something similar, telling her that despite everything, we have always supported one another. I could see Samantha was feeling the weight of this secret as we spoke. With dark circles beneath her eyes and a steady trembling in her hands, she appeared older than her actual age of 32. I understood that Samantha had been bearing an even greater load for the past week, while I had been feeling wounded and alone. We talked about how she might not tell Billy, but we both understood that was not a realistic scenario. She would eventually be consumed by her guilt, and the possibility of the truth emerging at some point remained, which would have much more dire consequences. Ultimately, Samantha came to the conclusion that she must be honest with Billy, no matter what happens. She asked if I would support her morally by being there when she did. I was taken aback by her request since, despite our past conflicts, I didn't think she would want me present for something so intimate and maybe transformative. Of course, I agreed. She's my sister and I adore her in spite of everything. This weekend, we're going to speak with Billy, right? Anxiety swirls in my stomach at the thought of it. But I'm certain that's the correct course of action. We made the decision to keep the other members of the family in the dark for the time being. I'll accept Samantha's apologies for how they treated me, and Samantha will apologize to them for overreacting to my comment. Though it's not a perfect answer, it seems to be the most sensible course of action given Samantha's concerns about not disclosing all of her personal information to the family. We had a long hug before Samantha went. It brought back memories of our childhood, supporting one another through a horrible dream or a challenging day at school. I felt like we were really back on the same team without any underlying rivalry or animosity for the first time in a long time. The entire ordeal has served as a sobering reminder that you can never truly know what else is going on in another person's life. I've become more circumspect in my speech, but I've also realized how crucial it is to refrain from making snap judgments or concluding things before hearing all the facts. Though I'm anxious to speak with Billy, I'm relieved Samantha felt comfortable enough to confide in me when it came to the truth. I'll be there for my sister no matter what. We've always looked out for one another in this way. Even though we occasionally forget that, I can't help but notice how rapidly things may change as I wait for the weekend to arrive here. My main concern a week ago was whether I ought to get a fourth cat. I'm getting ready to help my sister through what could be the worst talk of her life right now. What's ahead for Samantha, Billy, and their unborn kid is unknown to me. I don't know if this drama will ever completely heal in our family. However, I am confident that I will go above and above to support my sister, as she has consistently done for me.